And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. This is Syracuse basketball postgame presented by Krause Health. We're coming right off the heels of a ACC tournament win for Syracuse, and it was not just a win, it was a blowout. Syracuse just cruises by Florida State in Brooklyn today at the Barclays Center, leading off Wednesday action at the ACC tournament with a 96-57 win over Florida State. It was the Cole Swider show once again for Syracuse. Remember, Cole had that 36-point effort against North Carolina, fell back down against Miami, but storms back today with 28 points on the day, goes 4 of 6 from three-point range, 9 of 15 overall. And it was a double-double effort for Cole Swider, by the way, as he has 28 points, 13 rebounds. That's something that Cole's done all year long. Joe Girard with 16 points. Nice bounce back for him. And one of the key things that allowed Girard to go 4 of 11 from three-point range and create in his 33 minutes on the offensive end was the return of Symir Torrence. That was big for Syracuse, as Torrence, 9 points, career high. Torrence also today with 9 assists. That's a career high for him. Remember, he went into concussion protocol, had the cut on his head, suffered against Paulo Banchero of Duke. He was huge for Syracuse today. Frank Anselm with 9 points and 15 rebounds on the day for the Orange. That ties his career high. Remember, he had a 15 rebound effort against Virginia Tech. Buddy Boeheim with 14 points, 5 of 14 shooting overall, 3 of 9 from three-point range. We're going to talk about Buddy here shortly. There is a possibility he will not play tomorrow against Duke as Syracuse advances to play Duke, the number 1 seed in the ACC tournament. Another noon game tomorrow. If you missed it, Buddy punched a FSU player. He took a shot in the first half at Wyatt Wilkes of Florida State. It was a clear punch. ESPN studio show was just saying a few minutes ago that the ACC will review that play. Now, it's important to note the referees didn't see it. Nothing was called. Nothing was reviewed. No flagrant one or anything of that ilk. But given the attention it's had, the ACC is going to review it. And there's a possibility Buddy Boeheim may not play tomorrow, could be suspended for the Duke game. We'll see what that is. Seth Greenberg just saying on ESPN that he believes that Buddy will be suspended tomorrow. Jimmy Boeheim, while we're continuing, pretty much everybody that got on the floor had a big day for Syracuse. 12 points, 6 rebounds, the tomahawk jam on the pass from his brother. So just a complete overall effort for Syracuse today. How about Florida State? 2 of 25 from three-point range. And the big difference in this game, fast break points. Syracuse outpaces Florida State there 33-13. Syracuse shot 51% overall. Florida State, look, I was stunned. They just laid over and died. I mean, Florida State from the get-go was not getting back on defense, giving Syracuse open looks from 3. Meanwhile, they're chucking up threes on the other end, and they just packed it in. I cannot remember a team in a tournament setting like this just laying over and dying the way that Florida State did today. And let me check a stat for you here. I saw something going around on this. I believe our friend David Teal, longtime ACC reporter, noted this. Just let me pull it up here. So Syracuse's 96-57 win over Florida State matches the second largest victory in ACC tournament history. UVA had a 109-66 rout of Duke back in 1983. That's the record. Syracuse's 96-57 demolition is the second biggest win in ACC tournament history. So significant there. Let's go through it here. Jermaine loving that Syracuse scored 96 points on the Seminoles. Lucas, Cuse knows they can play like this during the regular season, right? Yeah, what a surprise for a Syracuse team that lost so many second-point leads. Even with Syracuse holding a huge lead at halftime, no one's breathing a sigh of relief because we have just seen this team blow leads time and time again, including against Miami just a few days ago. Matt saying the only thing clear about this game was Florida State didn't want to be in it, played it like a scrimmage. Bring on the Dukies, right? And that's it. Duke is next for the Orange. Bonnie saying, oh, Buddy. Yeah, we'll see what happens with Buddy there. A couple of you mentioning it here in the chat that he'll likely be suspended tomorrow. I certainly wouldn't be surprised to see that. Dan saying, unfortunately, it's going to be his last game in a Syracuse uniform. Yeah, Syracuse got to 16-16 with this win. I'm going to say it when they lose to Duke tomorrow. If I'm wrong, you guys come at me on the postgame show tomorrow. We'll be doing a postgame show regardless of a win or loss. But I think when they do lose tomorrow, they're going to finish 16-17. That would lock in Jim Boeheim's first losing season, because that, in that case, to me, doesn't get you an NIT invite. I think, and I'm not an NIT expert by any means, don't really want to be either. But I think Syracuse has to win 2 wins here. Mike Waters did a great piece about this. Some NIT bracketologists, because that's a thing in the world, are saying that Syracuse would need 2 just to be in the picture, and that doesn't even make it clear. So when Syracuse loses, and I do think they'll lose to Duke tomorrow, that could be the end of the season. That's a rare thing. That's a very rare thing to see a season essentially end in a conference tournament, because the NCAA tournament out of the picture, and I don't even think the NIT would be in the picture. But hey, Syracuse gave you something today, right? For a team that's played in so many close games, that's blown so many second half leads, that has found ways to lose, that has screwed up inbounds passes, had injuries down the stretch. Good to see Symir back out there today. Benny Williams, for those of you asking, Benny Williams didn't travel with the team. It's injury related. He wasn't on the bench for the Miami game as well. There's really nothing to it more than it's injury related. Sometimes you don't want a player on a sideline with an injury. He didn't travel with the team because of that. So there's nothing going on beyond that as far as I know. Right. But for those of you, I haven't seen any questions here in the chat, but if you were wondering, that's what's up with Benny. But with Benny, with Symir, with Jesse, the injuries down the stretch, I mean, things just felt like they couldn't get worse. So at the very least, you had a nice, easy day, right? Watching Syracuse blow out Florida State. I was just stunned to see the way Florida State half-ass it in an ACC tournament game, by the way, that they needed. You know, this is not a team that's going to make the NCAA tournament. They needed a real strong showing in the ACC tournament, probably to win it like Syracuse, just to have a shot. And they went out there and just dogged it today. Jim saying SU looked good with Symir at the point, 9 assists. And Jim, what a difference Symir makes, right? He put up the numbers, 9 points, 9 assists. I was wondering what kind of effort he could give Syracuse today. Wouldn't blame him if he was off a little bit. He had missed, a couple of games, head injury. You always want to be careful with that situation when you got a player in concussion protocol, but it makes such a difference when Joe is not the point guard for 40 minutes. And Florida State supposedly played a pressure defense. They didn't play defense at all today. As we mentioned, Syracuse just crushed them in fast break points and ran by a Florida State team that just, reminds me of the great movie Clerks, Dante. I'm not even supposed to be here today. Maybe Florida State got the date wrong. Maybe they thought they were playing tomorrow. I don't know. But listen, Symir Torrance makes such a difference. It allows Joe Girard to go off ball, to focus on being the offensive threat that he can be. And the key with him and the key with Cole Swider getting back on track was get those early looks. And that's going to be key if Syracuse is going to be competitive against Duke tomorrow. They've got to get in the game early. They've got to get those guys rolling. You want shooters feeling good and building on that. And all the open looks that Florida State gave Syracuse throughout the game certainly helped their cause. No question about that. But that's key one way or the other, particularly for guys like Cole and Joe to get going early, get in the flow. And Symir Torrance was big, not only for Joe, but certainly for Cole as well, and allowing that team to get in the flow that they did. Richard says, hey, just beat Duke and make a run at the ACC championship. Michael thinks that Buddy could be suspended as well. I would agree with that. Michael Antonio disagreeing. That's not a punch. It was a hard inner arm. The other player hit him hard as well right before that. So it should be a wash. If they suspend Buddy, the ACC should be punished by Syracuse. Now, he punched him. I mean, go watch the replay. He flat out reached around and punched that guy right in kind of the lower area here. I didn't see exactly what happened before that. Maybe in the ACC review, they will see that. It doesn't matter. Buddy is on film punching a guy. It's a clear punch. It's not a reaction play. There was intent there. So there's no disputing that. You can candy coat it all you want. You can spin it all you want. He punched a dude. And what the ACC does about that is going to be really interesting to see at this point. And I just went by this comment here. Cole Swider come back next year. Skylar, I think a lot of people feel that way. I think a lot of people agree with you and would like to see Cole come back next year. Now, he did participate in the senior day activities on Sunday, or pardon me, last Saturday when Syracuse played Miami, but he's got the option to come back. We know Buddy's not coming back. We know Jimmy's not coming back. Barama has graduated. Cole can come back. He's got another year of eligibility. I think he'd be a huge boost for a Syracuse team that's going to have a mix next year. You're going to have Joe. Now, again, the transfer portal's out there, so I guess attach this asterisk to the conversation. But Gerard's back. Symir's back. Jesse's back. Benny comes back. Now you're mixing in 5 new recruits. Chris Bunch, top 100 player. Justin Taylor, who's pretty much a Buddy clone, 6'6" guy that can shoot and will be in at the 2 for the Orange. You've got Kadir Copeland, who could be a huge boost for Syracuse at the guard position. Peter Carey's kind of a project, 6'11" center. There's always that tall project that Syracuse has in the works. If they get Judah Mintz, combo guard that they're going after hard, and I do think they will get a commitment from him, that'd be a huge boost. As we saw, this team needs depth at guard. I mean, Gerard out on an island for those games without Symir was just brutal to watch. And just while we're on the subject of Symir, listen, his improvement on the offensive end is going to be big next year. He can attack the basket. There's more confidence there. He's not necessarily a shooter, but he's not afraid to get in there and mix it up a little bit. We saw huge strides there. Saw it today against Florida State, again, who was kind of dogging it out there on defense. But Symir has made some big strides, and it's going to get a big boost into next season, and I think you'll see him back. And Syracuse needs that pure point guard, so Joe can work off the ball, Justin can work off the ball, and you just need someone that is the general out there running things. And I think Symir is going to be put in that position next year. Katie says, concern with Buddy out that Gerard is going to think he needs to step up to the point where he just chucks up shots and ruins the game. That's always a concern, but as we said earlier, if he gets going early, you want him in that rhythm, and what we were just saying about Symir applies too. Let him run the offense, and Joe is going to have to step up, and it's only going to make it easier for Duke to defend Syracuse if, in fact, Buddy is suspended for tomorrow, because you just throw everything at Joe or Cole, and that's one more shooter gone, and you can't really make up for that. So, I mean, it's hard enough to be competitive against Duke. If Syracuse doesn't have Buddy Boeheim tomorrow, good night, Irene. That's going to be tough. A lot of people, is Michelle in here too? Come back Cole, hashtag come back Cole, right? He's going to think about it. He said he's going to have a conversation with Jim Boeheim after the season. Every player does. They have the little exit interviews, and, maybe he can be talked back into returning. Jim Boeheim kind of preemptively said that Cole wasn't coming back next year in a radio interview a couple of weeks back, and that was pretty much news to Cole, right? He said, just going to talk about it after the season, and we'll see what happens on that. Let's see. David says, hey, Brent, what are you hearing on Judah? A lot of social activity and crystal balls on 247 projected DePaul. Last I looked into it, David, Mike McAllister, as we know, great recruiting guru. Mike and I had a conversation about it on the radio just this week. He still feels Syracuse is a favorite. DePaul has worked in there and gotten a real push for Judah Mintz. You never know with recruiting. You never know till you see him on the court, right? But I think a lot of people are feeling pretty good about him. And there was another guard that decommitted from Kentucky. You guys help me out. I know his first name is Sky. I don't know his last name offhand. Syracuse already offered him. They need another guard. I mean, we saw you just need that depth at that position, even though Boeheim tends to really favor a couple of guys and ride them out like we see with Buddy and Joe and the players that play the heavy minutes on this team. But they need a couple more guards. And if they got either one of those two, that would be a huge thing for Syracuse for sure. While there is a game left here, we're already starting to really think about next year, right? And what this team's going to look like and trying to turn the page from one way or the other, what's going to end up being a disappointing season. But at least they got a little boost, a little kick here, and we'll have a high note at the end of the year with the second biggest ACC tournament win in history. As Bill notes here, without Buddy, Joe needs to score 25 for Syracuse to have any chance. I'm okay with him taking 20 shots. Maybe he'll get hot. He's capable. Yeah, back to that comment we said earlier. Usually you don't want Joe chucking it up like that, but if Buddy's not out there tomorrow, you really don't have a choice. You need him and Cole just going at it. Thank you, Adam. Sky Clark is the player I'm thinking of. He decommitted from Kentucky recently, and Syracuse has put an offer on the table, but so have a lot of schools, and there's even a possibility he could go G League, he could go overtime elite. He's got some options out there, so we'll see if Syracuse has a shot there. Linda asking, why would Buddy be suspended? Well, because he threw a punch. If the ACC, especially with the attention this kind of things get, He has the ACC has, it's their rules, it's their reviews. They can look at it and say, that's not how we do it, especially in our tournament. I'd have to see the exact rule on the books, but really they're kind of judge, jury, and executioner on that thing. You throw a punch in a game, it's a pretty serious offense. Pardon me. And again, we'll see what Wilkes did before that to cause Buddy to do it, which, by the way, is, you guys know this. You don't need me to tell you. Completely out of character for Buddy. Buddy does not play dirty. He plays hard, but he's not a dirty guy. And to see him do that was very surprising, because that's just not something that Buddy Boeheim is known for, right? Very out of character for him. But, you know, the ACC has certainly got to follow the rules and do what they got to do. And we'll see what happens. I would imagine a decision on that's going to come down pretty soon here after some reviews go down. We're looking into it certainly just to see exactly what the process is, when they'll look at it, when a decision will be coming down on this. So keep your eyes on that. That's obviously a huge, huge decision going into tomorrow's game. As David notes here, should have been a flagrant 2 in there. My guy Steve jumps in to say ACC commentators say Buddy will be suspended. JB and Danny Shays on the radio didn't think it amounted to much. All right. We'll see about that. Again, I'm not really sure what they're going to do. They're going to review it. And if they kind of want to send a message that something like that is unacceptable, would be interesting if they went around the referees there and just suspended him on merit alone, because there wasn't a call made. Like if there was a flagrant called, if the refs acknowledged it, it certainly would just give the ACC an opportunity to just follow up on that, right? But at this point, you know, we'll see what happens there. It's kind of an unprecedented thing, particularly for him as well. And as Steve brings up here, I thought of this, right? There was a Big East tournament moment, go back to the mid-1980s. Jim Boeheim storms out of a press conference and says, Michael Graham punched my player, right? The old Big East days, there was punches flying all the time, right? Michael Graham punches a guy, doesn't even get called for it. Patrick Ewing almost lands a punch on Dwayne Pearl Washington. Man, this is the week when you really miss the Big East, right? Tournament time. So yeah, back in the Big East, that's, you know, come on, no blood, no foul, right? But, you know, times are different. But we shall see. We're spending a lot of time on that, but it would certainly be, you know, a big deal if Buddy's not in the game tomorrow. So 96-57 was our score here today. And as we talked a lot about a few guys here, but everybody contributed. It was a balanced effort. Let me look at the assist numbers here. We didn't go through that earlier. Syracuse had 23 assists in this game. And, you know, it's been said before that assists are overrated. Syracuse plays a lot of iso ball. If opponents get a lot of assists, it's because they're trying to move the ball around 3-point range. I don't believe in that. I think assists are never overrated, because if you have 23 assists in the game, and Jim Boeheim said it on ESPN after the game, it means you're moving the ball really well. Florida State got out-rebounded 52-35. And early in the game, they were pounding the offensive glass. It was looking like Syracuse was going to fall behind in that department. Syracuse actually out-rebounded Florida State in the last 2 games, which, again, shows you hustle and effort and being inside and being in the right position. It's not always about size. Florida State certainly has the size. They were down a couple of guys today, but still went heavy in the rotation, as Florida State does. So those are both encouraging things for Syracuse. They shot well. They got transition buckets. They're going to have to do that against Duke tomorrow. Really, the best strategy against Duke is to get him in the half-court game, but, you know, Syracuse just has to do what they did today. Just score in bunches, keep the pace going. I don't think they're going to out-rebound Duke tomorrow with Mark Williams and Paulo Banchero looming inside. They got to find a different way to do it. But this is what can happen in a tournament. You play well, you get some juice, you're out there the next day, right? And Duke's Duke. Syracuse lost to Duke by 25-20 earlier this year. But in this situation, you get some momentum, you get some confidence, you take your best shot. And, you know, even if Syracuse loses tomorrow, if they keep it within a reasonable score, if they give Duke a punch in the nose here, I think you never want to accept that, if you will. You always want to see a team win, right? But listen, Duke's pretty ticked off after the way they lost, the way they played. You know that Coach K has been riding these guys all week because it's not the end of the season. They want to win the national championship. They're in the short breadth of teams that can do it. I mean, you've got Baylor, you've got Arizona, Auburn, Gonzaga, certainly. There's some heavyweights starting to emerge, some top seeds in college basketball, but I would not count Duke out of that conversation at all. So Syracuse has to contend with that. Duke is going to be raring and ready to go, but you want to play Duke. You want to go into it with a little momentum and a little confidence, having played the day before. And that's at least an advantage that Syracuse is going to get at this point. Yeah, be careful with the punch in the nose comment, as Brian says. Yes, we were talking about punches earlier. It was a punch in the gut from Buddy, not a punch in the nose. But I certainly get what you're saying there. I'll tell you what, guys. What do you say we end there for today? Really appreciate you coming by. Same plan tomorrow. We're just kind of going with the flow now. Syracuse keeps winning. We'll keep doing these things. We'll be with you, win or loss, tomorrow after the Duke game, about the same time, 2 o'clock or so. We'll pop on here on these same channels you're watching on Syracuse Orange Facebook, Syracuse Orange Basketball on Facebook, pardon me, Syracuse Sports on YouTube as well. If you missed the show, easy to catch up on it. We'll fire it off on our social media channels. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook as you're watching now on YouTube. The YouTube clip of this show will be in my recap on syracuse.com as well. So easy to catch the show if you miss it, but we love it when you're here live and you are commenting and putting out some great stuff as always. So come on back tomorrow. We'll do this whole darn thing all over again. Thanks for watching Syracuse Basketball Postgame, presented by Krause Health. Syracuse takes down Florida State 96-57. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.